In this video, you are going to learn how to find investors, even if you have $0. You're going to learn 3 methods that you can use absolutely free to help you find investors. And then also, if you stick around, 3 additional pro tips that will go with that will help you to get investors actually interested to learn more about your company as well. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So the first of the 3 methods is a site called Signal NFX. It was created by a couple venture capitalists out of Silicon Valley, and they made this tool to help you find investors for free. So the key criteria and the assumption that we're going to make in this video is that you are a pre-seed company. That means a company that just started, that's in AI and consumer health. So these are called your stage. That's going to be defined again as pre-seed. Then you have the sectors of interest, which is really your industry or niche, but it can be, other things which are a little bit more specific as well. It's not just software. For example, you could have an audio tech firm that's also an auto tech firm, or you can have an auto tech firm or a audio tech firm that is either one could be software. So key point, it's more of a niche than it is an industry. Then the next is going to be this key criteria. It's called a lead. Will the investor lead? Now, a lead investor is an investor who says, yes, not only will I invest in your company, but I'm going to set the terms that are attractive so that other investors can come on, and I'm going to look for other investors to bring with as well. So if you're just starting your company, it's great that you first find a lead investor, because in fact, you may start to hear, hey, I will invest in you when you get a lead investor. And I've found that that's not always the case. The key thing is find the lead investor. So when you do that, you can go ahead and make a search. As you can see, Signal NFX has provided 508 investor matches who also meet this check size requirement that we've laid out of 250K to 1 million. Now, one thing that's important is that about Signal NFX and all these examples is that none of them are exhaustive. And in fact, the second one that we're going to talk about is outdated, but it does work. So the next thing is, within Signal NFX is, well, how do you actually contact the investor? So let's go over to David. You come into the view section. You can save David on a list. And once you do that, it will show you a few different areas in which you can reach out to the investor. You can follow someone on Twitter, but in my experience, even DMing them, even if they have open DMs, is not very effective on Twitter. The key place you do want to go is LinkedIn. Let's say we're just doing outreaches because we have $0 and we're trying to figure out how investors can invest in our company. Well, you can use LinkedIn. So what you can do from here is you just hit connect, add a note, and all of a sudden you've got a direct channel to David. So the key is there is about a 1 to 2%, sometimes more, and we'll talk about those pro tips when it comes to getting a response. So this means it is a volume game. But that volume game is offset by quality. So key tip number 1, this is actually a bonus tip. There's 3 key tips that we're going to come with this. The bonus tip here is that investing, raising capital from investors is a quality game. You could send 25,000 emails, or you could send 100 emails to the right people and get 25 responses. It's that big of a difference. Right? It's really focused on quality, because all of these little sections and overlaps that we're going to talk about make a difference in who's going to be interested to invest in your company. But as we're on this messaging section and getting into an example, let's talk about the 3 pro tips that go along with this video. So the first thing that you want to look for when you actually have a potential investor who matches on those foundational criteria, like the seed, the stage, the interest, and the check size, the next thing you want to look at are overlaps. So these are shared experiences, like you worked at the same place, like Google. You went to the same college, like Harvard, or you have a similar mission. So for example, you're a AI consumer health company that wants to cure cancer, and you find an investor who talks about curing cancer and investing in those sort of companies on their profile. That's a match. If someone sees that, they're much more likely to respond, which is what we want. The next thing is similarities. So these can be things like location, industry, or interest. So simple point, location, you're in the same city, in the same state. Industry, you both build software companies, and interests, you both like the Minnesota Vikings, or you both like a certain type of AI. These are things that can help when it comes to getting that response rate. They won't get the deal done, but they will help you get a better response rate. The last of which of the pro tips is going to be relationships. So if they have done something like invested in one of your friends' companies. Well, that's an excellent foundation for you to go ahead and reach out to them. In fact, you should probably ask your friend to introduce them if you're that confident in your company. The next thing is just going to be association. So if you guys have a similar, maybe you're in a similar group or you just know similar people, those things are going to increase that response rate. And you would include that all in a message here. We're not going to go into what a message should entail, but realize you only have 300 characters here in a LinkedIn connection request. And again, this is the free version. We can talk about other methods to reach investors in the future. So Signal NFX, again, a great way, a great start. I'm going to give you that 500 or so investors that you can go reach out to, and you can change your search criteria, and that number will change as well. So let's go to the next one. Good old ChatGPT. So if you have ChatGPT, you can go ahead and we'll say, hey, ChatGPT, what are 12? You could say 25. You could say, I think the most it'll do is 50 or so. What are 12, we'll just use for this example, pre-seed investment firms who invest in AI consumer health companies and lead rounds. And I'm just going to, from a last time submitting this, I'm going to add this that are not incubators or accelerators. I'm just adding that because the last time I ran this, we got a couple incubators and accelerators. Nothing wrong with those, but we're just going to be focused on venture capitalists specifically for this one. So at this point, ChatGPT is going to generate investors. It's going to generate firms that would be a match. The next thing you're going to do is you can go straight to their website and you're going to get about 50-50 here. Sometimes investors are going to have a submission area where you can submit your company to them for review. Now, that's not always the case. So First Round Capital doesn't look like it does. SV Angel, let's try another one. Pretty website. Portfolio, fact, about. Let's just see. Sometimes you got to click around, but it doesn't look like they have a form, but they do have a LinkedIn, and we'll get to that in a minute. If that ends up being the way we have to go. Next one, investing. Contact us. Let's go ahead and try this one. So, want to be part of Village, submit your startup to, there you go. So you can find an email, and that email can be your way in. Or on the website, you can find a form or that contact us. Those things do work if your company is also interesting, which is the next key tip, which was not going to be included in this, but now is your company is the most important element when it comes to getting funding. So we'll talk about that, though, in another video. So you can submit them an email, or you can if you find a contact form, submit your company. That way, that is another way to find investors that's totally free. So let's get into the last one. So the last of which is just the basic LinkedIn search. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, you can go ahead and search using the bar on the top and define in ways like this. Now, one thing I want to show you is that if you come over here to filters, the filters are going to help make your life a lot easier. So for example, you come down, the first thing you're going to want to put in is your industry. So the contact industry. So as you can see, we get 343 results, and in pre-seed. So now you're starting to see the theme. This up here, pre-seed plus health and bio, right? So this search returned us some pretty good opportunities. Then from there, it's the same thing. You can come in, hit connect. If you're doing this just straight free with no additional tools, that's what you'll be able to use to reach people. Add that note, type your message, make it unique to that person. If you can find things like overlaps, similarities, or relationships that are meaningful and valuable, that is going to increase the response rate. So there we go. That is 3 different ways you can find investors for free. So go ahead and get started on this right away.